Today we're going to make a really simple yet pretty to do pincushion. What's special about it is the supplies, which is a really pretty candlestick. You can use something crystal. I found mine at the thrift store for $4.50, I think. It's Czechoslovakian crystal and I love it. You're also going to want to have a wood drawer pull that will fit down inside of your candlestick, and you want something round to draw a circle with. You're going to want some simple muslin, some vintage lace, and etc. You'll see what you need as we go along. The first thing we're going to do here is we're going to make the stuffing packet on the inside. Instead, what I did was I took the muslin and I used a 10-inch circle. I cut it out 2 layers. Once that was done, you don't have to finish the raw edges at all. Once that was done, I took a needle and thread and just hand basted some stitches around the outside about 1/2 inch to 1 inch in from the edge. They don't have to be even, none of that. Just make them about 1 inch long. You want to do it with some very heavy or strong thread. I used a double layer of my regular sewing thread. You can use embroidery thread if that's what you have, or even dental floss. Okay, and just go through and exactly like that, just kind of bunch it up. When you get to the beginning, of course, you can stop. And when you look here, you can see that I've got a little bit of a pocket. Okay, so I'm going to just shape that so that tighten the top a little bit so that it stays like a little cup. And we're going to pour it full of lavender. I have some lavender seeds. You can also use coffee beans. Some people use walnut shells, is pretty popular, or plastic poly beads. I have more choices on the blog post, but I like the lavender. And then I added some extra lavender essential oils to it, and it smells amazing. It's so nice. Then I tied it up, not 100% done, just kind of looked at the size of it, and tightened up to make sure it was okay. And now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take that wooden door pull and we're going to cover it in E6000 glue. You'll see me do that here right away. You want to make sure that the bottom part, or the outer part, is on the bottom and the little stem part's on the top. I always have a hard time with E6000. What can I tell you? Old hands aren't the strongest. But I covered it with E6000. Then we place it inside our little packet there. Tie it up. Now we tie it as tight as we can. And I work with it to make sure that that stem is sticking out enough. Otherwise, you don't want to bury it inside your packet, or it won't hold on to your, it won't have enough room to hold into your candlestick. If you want, you can directly glue the wood stem into the candlestick, but I didn't do that because my candlestick that I found is Czechoslovakian crystal, and it's quite a find for $4. I wasn't about to ruin it. So it's pretty much shrunken. I've got it shrunken as close as tight as I can, but I want to make it seal really, really good so none of the lavender comes out. So what I did was I took a stitch from one side and I pulled it across to the other side like that, and then kept pulling it tight until it was all very snug inside. And then I went through and I pushed it against that E6000, because E6000 takes a while to dry. So I pushed it against that E6000 to make sure that enough of that little stem stuck out that it would fit inside of my candlestick. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is, once I've got it all on here, we're going to start putting on the cover. Now the thing with the cover is I bought a little doily at the thrift store. But it ended up being a little bit smaller than I needed it to be. So I took just some ribbon and I weaved it through, being very particular about where I put it. Now if you look at the top here, you can see there's a pattern going around the outside with the two holes. So I'm going to take it up through the two holes on the bottom. See that? It goes up through there, and then it's going to go down through the one on the other side after I fiddle with straightening it, which I had to do a lot of, to be honest. And then I take it down from there through the next hole, and there, through the next hole in the doily, and into the next hole into the lace where the spot was, and then I just repeated that all the way around. There again, I'm going in the first of the two holes through there, and then I'll go down through the second of the two holes in the ecru doily and into the second hole of the lace. And whatever doily and whatever lace you find, you pretty much guaranteed that you're going to have a repetitive pattern that you can follow to attach one to the other. And that's how I went and did this, okay? So you keep doing this all the way around the doily until you get to the front, to the beginning. And here you're going to really see where I put it through the one hole and then down in through the hole of the lace, pulled it through, and then pulled it up again. When I got to the end, I did not worry about stitching the two ends together, because when you tighten it, it kind of hides it. So I didn't think it was necessary. You may want to glue the two ends of the lace together, but I did not bother. We're just about finished here. Now I did this on the stand so it was easier for you to see. You don't have to do it. You can attach the lace to the outside of your doily first and then just place it over top. And then go ahead, after you've placed it over top, then go ahead from this point on and tighten it. But it just looks easier for you to see with me doing it in the air like this. See how I overlap it just a little bit there. And then I take the thread, or the two ribbons I mean, and I make sure it's as tight as I can get it over the top of the candlestick. And I tied a pretty bow in it, and we are done. You can also make it with nice fabric and do the same thing with fabric, but then you'd have to sew the lace onto the side. And I really like the look of the vintage doily. Happy crafting, everybody.